Is Jimmy Butler headed to the Miami Heat? It could certainly be a possibility. What is going on, y'all? Fox Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NBA, here to discuss some NBA trade news, trade rumors, basically, if you will. But before I get started, if you're new to the channel, welcome. And make sure to go ahead, hit that big red subscribe button down below. Make sure to turn on my post notifications by clicking that bell icon, because you don't want to miss when I post videos like I'm doing now. And I will be doing a lot more, especially with the NBA regular season right around the corner. So don't want to miss out on that. Also, if you want to reach out to me, hit me up on my social media links down below for my Twitter and my Instagram. With that being said, let's talk about today's topic, which is Jimmy Butler and the possibility of him being traded to the Miami Heat, okay? Because we all know that Jimmy Butler has expressed that he wants out of Minnesota, and we all know this, and now it's a matter of the Timberwolves finding the right team to trade him to, okay? So I'm going to get into all of that, talk about why the Heat right now seem to be the front runners, and whether or not I feel like this deal is going to get done or not. So with that being said, let's get started. So we all know, like I mentioned, that Jimmy Butler wants out of Minnesota. He has told the Timberwolves that he will leave via free agency this summer if they do not trade him, or I should say next summer, if they do not trade him. And so the Timberwolves have been put on notice that, hey, trade Jimmy because you're going to lose him for nothing. So that's what they're trying to do. Now, we are very close to the regular season, so that begs the question of, are the Wolves in a rush to move Jimmy? We all know the trade deadline doesn't occur until, early February next year, around that time. So the Wolves do have some time, but at the same time, I feel like they don't want this cloud hanging over their head of Jimmy playing in these regular season games when he said he wants to be out. So I feel like they're going to try to get Jimmy out of Minnesota before the regular season even starts. So with that being said, let's talk about the team that right now seems to have jumped to the front of the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes, and that is the Miami Heat. Now, if you guys do recall, and even if you don't, the Heat are one of the teams that Jimmy Butler has said that he has preference to, or his team came out and said that. Now, there were other teams mentioned. There was the Clippers, there was the Knicks, and there was the Nets, okay? And then a later story came out that he would prefer to be traded to the Miami Heat. Now, Dwayne Wade, we all know, is returning for one more season. I don't know if that's the reason why he wants to be in Miami, or whether the fact that it's just Miami, and amazing weather and whatnot. Because roster-wise, I don't really see it. I mean, the Heat are a fringe playoff team at best. So adding Jimmy would obviously make them a playoff team. But are they a contender? Absolutely not. And here's the other thing. They don't have cap space this summer, okay? So what does that mean? That means two things. One, they don't have cap space to surround Jimmy with talent if they do acquire him. And two, they can't even sign Jimmy this summer, so they have no choice but to trade for him if they want Jimmy. Okay, so now let's talk about the asking price and what these negotiations have looked like. So per Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, I almost said Yahoo Sports, per Woj of ESPN, the Wolves want the following in a Jimmy Butler trade. They want Josh Richardson, they want Bam Adebayo, and they want a 2019 first-round pick. Oh, and they want to unload Gorgui Dieng's $48 million left on his contract. So they want all of those things. I have a hard time believing this happens in terms of Miami wanting to give up all these pieces. Do I think it's an awful trade for the Heat? No, not really. But if you look at the fact that they can't sign Jimmy this summer, then it kind of makes sense that they will have no choice but to trade for him, right? Because we take a look at these other teams, the Clippers, the Knicks, and the Nets. All three have cap space. They're not going to give good offers to the Timberwolves because they're like, yo, why should we give up anything when we can just sign Jimmy in the summer? And that's the way they're going to look at it. They're not going to give up major assets. They might give up one good player, maybe like a Tobias Harris, something like that if you're the Clippers. But outside of that, you're not getting, significant assets for Jimmy Butler. Because, again, Jimmy Butler's a great player, but whenever a player requests a trade, his value is already down because everybody knows that that team has to trade him, okay? And then we take a look at the fact that he's on a free agency coming up next summer, so he's going to be a possible one-year rental a la Kawhi Leonard. So are you really going to give up assets for somebody that the team has to trade and somebody that could be a one-year rental? So you take all those things into account, and that's why I believe that Jimmy Butler is going to get traded to the Heat because, like I said, these other teams that he wants to be traded to, they're not going to offer as much. So it's either going to be the Heat or some surprise team that we don't know about. So with that being said, as far as the trade itself, like I said, Josh Richardson, Bam Adebayo, 2019 first-round pick, I think the Heat will end up giving 2 of these 3 things. They will not give all 3. They could, but my guess is that's why the talks have stalled a little bit, because the Wolves are asking for too much according to the Heat. So I think they're going to give up 2 of these 3 things. I think it's going to end up being Josh Richardson and that protected first-round pick. They like Bam Adebayo a lot, so I think they're going to keep him. So I do think that is what happened. So overall, if you look at it from that standpoint, I think it's going to make a lot of sense for the Timberwolves to take what they can get at this point, because like I said, I don't suggest that they wait this out, because the second you wait this out, every single day, Jimmy Butler's value, his trade value, is going down. So you are going to want to move him as soon as you can. I don't want them to start the regular season with Jimmy. We all know he doesn't want to be there. It's just going to be weird watching him play for a team he doesn't want to be on. So I just don't like that. I think the Timberwolves should go ahead and accept the offer that the Wolves give, the Heat give, I should say, if it's 2 of the 3 pieces, okay? At this point, they're going to try and get the best deal out of it. They're saying they're going to do it, but I have a hard time believing that. So ultimately, my point is, I think Jimmy Butler is most likeliest to be a Miami Heat, and if it is not the Heat, I think it's going to be a surprise team. I don't think it's going to be one of those three teams that are on his list. That's just what I think. Folks, let me know what you guys think. If you agree with me or disagree with me, that's fine too. We can debate down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what y'all think. Hit me up on my social media like I mentioned before, my Twitter, my Instagram, all of that good stuff. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe.